Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Black Ops 4 video. So basically what I've been doing is we had the first big balance changes into this game, and I'm going through and sort of testing it out, because in the patch notes it'll say something like extended damage ranges or, you know, nerfed this or buffed this, but we really don't know the actual effectiveness of anything until you test it out in game. So that's what I've been doing, and one of the SMGs that got buffed was the MX9. I thought the MX9 buff made that gun, it played to its strengths a little bit more, allowing it to do more damage at medium and long range because of that. So I thought that buff was pretty good. And then today we're going to talk about the Cordite Buff, and I'll also upload a video a little bit later, you know, in whatever, a couple hours or something like that, talking about the top 5 guns in the game, in my opinion, after this patch update. So drop a like if you guys are excited for that, smack a like on this video, and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I would really appreciate that. Your support has been amazing, and I'm just super excited for, you know, just to play a lot of Call of Duty and to upload a lot of videos, especially on the weekends, which is kind of like prime time for Call of Duty. So with the Cordite, this video is going to sort of talk about the class setup I use with the Cordite, what I think about the buff, but also what I think about the whole patch in total. But like I said, I still have more videos coming out about it. So what was changed on the SMGs? Well, the first thing is that they basically said that some of the close range SMGs were performing well while others struggled to compete, and what they did to the Cordite is the same buff they did to the MX9, extended all damage ranges, which basically means you're going to take less bullets to kill people at farther ranges, because we don't know the exact, you know, how much they actually increased it, but extending the damage ranges is a significant change, and it basically allows you to kill them in you know, 1 to 2 less bullets on those fights at range. That's the thing they did to the Cordite. They also changed the belt feed operator mod. They increased the overheat rate, which I believe if you're increasing the overheat rate, that means it's going to overheat more. So I believe that is a nerf to the operator mod, which is already kind of strong in this game on this gun. However, I find that you don't really need the operator mod because of how this gun works. It reminds me of like a Weevil or a P90 because of like how many bullets the Weevil in Black Ops 3 had in the magazine. That's what this reminds me of. You have 60 bullets in the magazine as far as default, and this gun does have a fast fire rate, but you also have 90 bullets in total, and if you run extended mags with this gun. So it basically takes you from 60 to 90, and when you have 60, sure, you have to reload after a couple of gunfights. When you have 90, reloading is basically an afterthought, and it's something you really don't have to do too often. So I think that's probably the strength of this weapon and what that plays to. But like I said, yes, those are the buff, the nerf to the operator mod, but the buff to the overall gun, extended damage ranges. Now, my opinion, is this a good buff? In my opinion, no, not really for this weapon, and the reasoning behind that is extending damage ranges allows an SMG to do more damage at range, of course, right? But when you have a gun like the Cordite, which has mad recoil on it, and this gun, you know, you're not going to be able to take fights much past 20-25 feet with this gun, just because of how much recoil it has on it, and this is post-patch gameplay, by the way. This is a gameplay that I got this morning. I got this gameplay, I was going to say last night, but this morning I got this gameplay. It was pretty nice. You can see the gun still works good. I think the Cordite is a good gun, but the Cordite's strengths all come from the amount of bullets it has and its ability to melt up close. Its weakness is at range, and its weakness is the recoil. So by extending the damage range, that's only going to affect a percentage of gunfights where, like these gunfights, I'm trying to shoot people across the map, or, you know, at medium or extended range, which really plays to the opposite of what this gun does. So I think that extending the damage range is a buff to the MX9, because that is a gun that has less recoil and plays better at range, but extending the damage range on this gun really doesn't give it the buff that it needed, and I think that it's kind of honestly kind of an irrelevant buff, because what they should have addressed, and sure, it still helps you in multiple gunfights every single game, but I think what they could have addressed with the Cordite, and one thing that really bothered me about the patch notes, is the fact that I don't think they affected the recoil of any weapon, and my theory behind that is because of basically how there's the predictable recoil patterns in this game. I think that they put so much time and effort into programming those that they really don't want to, you know, they'd have to mess with their whole algorithm there on the recoil. So that kind of makes me nervous, because traditionally what they would do back in the day, whenever, you know, going off my experience of previous Treyarch games, Black Ops 2 and mainly Black Ops 3, they would usually nerf things like the ADS transition speed, the ADS move speed. The stuff that they nerfed on the assault rifles was pretty standard, but one other thing they would do is they would touch recoil, and on weapons like the ICR, if that had been the previous COD, or the Vapor, they probably would have slowed it down and added a little bit of recoil or slowed down the reload time, which I think they did, you know, that sort of stuff for the ICR. But one interesting thing is that they did not touch the recoil of weapons, which really is sort of a bummer in my opinion, because I think that's what would have made the Cordite, you know, be able to compete with other SMGs and be a really good gun in this game. Not to say that this isn't a, I honestly think it is a really good SMG up close. I think that the Spitfire is probably better right up close, and then from like 5 or 10 feet away, the Cordite is probably better. But as far as that goes, I really think that this gun will receive more buffs in the future, and I don't think that this patch update really did the job justice, or did justice. I think what this patch sort of did is they mildly buffed the SMGs, but they're still really weak, while also nerfing the ARs, but they made it to a state where the ARs are just weaker and not as fun to play with, but they're still much better than the SMGs. So I think something really needs to be addressed here, and like I said, a lot of people are hating on this patch, and do I think the patch made the game more, you know, put the game on track to be more balanced? Yes. Do I think it balanced out the game with just that one patch? No, no way. This is going to be a you know, a long process, and it's going to, I mean, they were nerfing into like year 3 with the XMC DLC weapon and the which is the MSMC from Black Ops 3, the VMP. They were nerfing stuff like in year 2 and 3 of Black Ops 3. So this is probably going to be like a long Call of Duty cycle with this game, and it might take a couple patch notes to get that down. But as far as did this patch fix the game? Definitely not, in my opinion. A lot of people are saying it made the experience worse for them. If you're an AR player, yeah, it's going to make it worse, but that is, you know, of course, needed or justified because of how overpowered the ARs were. But that's what I really think about this update. Was the Cordite a good gun before? Yes, the Cordite's a really strong. The Cordite melts at close range. It melts at close range, and after this update, it does that as well, while also giving you a little bit of better damage at range. But there also is a buff to this weapon inadvertently. By moving down the ARs and making them slower, that is a buff to this weapon, just because, you know, whenever you bring down a class of weapons that a lot of people are going to use, that second or third option gets brought up. So as far as the class setup, I know people are going to want to know about that. It's nothing really special. I believe what I had on it, like I said, 60 bullets, but you throw on that extended, you have 90, and you really don't have to worry. So I believe that's what I had on this class setup, was extended mags. My second attachment, I think it was the grip, as that's what you probably should be running on this gun, just because of recoil and stuff like that. And then as far as my perks, I do use a red dot on this gun. The iron sights, it's all up to personal preference. I don't know what it is with me, but I was always someone in previous CODs that would like to save my points and go with like default sights. But on this game, the way the Pick 10 is designed, where you have gear like acoustic, which you never had in previous games, you know, pick them between acoustic and stim, it sort of leaves a lot of class setups with that awkward, you know, 9 out of 10, and it's just like, well, would I rather run a default sight or an ELO or red dot? I'll just slap it on. So I sort of really, honestly, I don't know what scope you want to run in this gun. It all depends on how your class comes together. The way my class comes together, it leaves me one open slot, so I would slap on a red dot or ELO, whatever. Of course, ELO now has more recoil than the patch, but it still is very good. I was using it on the Vapor earlier. And then my perk setup, because this gun isn't really high maintenance, you only need 2 attachments. Perk setup is flak jacket, tac mask, gung-ho, dead silence, and then acoustic for gear. I mean, it's a really good rush class up, and like I said, this gun is still really amazing and it still melts up close, the Cordite, but the buff was kind of, I mean, it was important to fights at range. Yes, it will help you at fights at range. But if you're taking fights at range, that's kind of a problem with this gun. As you see, most of the fights at range, I just get a couple shots in and then back off, try to get the assist, EKIA, let my teammates finish it off, or let a kill streak finish it off, which is a cool thing you can do. You can tap them from the spawn, damage them, and then let your like helicopter finish them off, and you get points for that, which is absolutely amazing. But you can see here, I dropped 65 to 5 in a really fast-paced game. This game didn't last that long at all, and it sort of shows how the Cordite is put together and how I really think that is a good weapon up close. And on a map like Slums where you can play those angles, it is great. But like I said, this buff, while it did go a step in the right direction, it definitely didn't fix everything to do with this game. And I want you guys to leave in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? Honestly, what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to buff the SMGs even more. That's what I think is going to happen in the next patch update. Either that, or they're going to heavily hit the ARs again, like they did, you know, in the first patch notes. Anyway, this is the class setup. I was running running with Flak Jacket Tack Mask. You can also run with Gung Ho Dexterity instead and just go 1 perk 1, 2 perk 2s. Either way works great. On my last video with the class setup, I was running 2 perk 2s. On this one, 2 perk 1s. It really all depends if you're going to be jump shotting more or if the enemies are going to have grenades for Flak Jacket. So that's all up to personal preference. I think you can go either, Tack Mask or Flak Jacket and then Gung Ho Dexterity, Dead Silence, or you can go like I did with the 2 counters, Flak Jacket, Tack Mask, Gung Ho, and then Dead Silence. But then you're just not as accurate when jump shotting without Dexterity. But it's all up to your preference. I gave you guys a couple good class ups with this gun. Test them out. Find what you guys like. Drop a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.